to the source. That sort of sounded like his neighbor, but not really. The man with the yellow hat was right. George hadn't heard an elephant. But then, what had he heard? That was the sound. So the upstairs neighbor has a Galapagos tortoise that's been wrapping gifts and making juice. George, I'm gonna say this one more time. There is no way...
Yes?
Hi there, we're your downstairs neighbors, and...
Oh, so nice to meet you.
George!
What's he doing?
I think he's looking for your, elephant.
My what?
Oh, we heard some loud sounds. Very loud sounds.
Very loud. Oh, I am so sorry. Sometimes I get carried away working on my art.
Art?
I am an artist. I do murals. I mix my paint here. Then I use these rubber stamps I made. Here's one of my completed works.
Oh, we also heard something like a bag of rocks dropping. Do you use rocks in your work?
No. Oh, that was a bag of groceries. It fell off the counter.
What on earth is that? Sounds like an elephant finger painting. Huh? It does.
Sometimes it's tough to explain what makes something really, really funny. And sometimes it's not. And after that, I decided to only wear yellow. Oh, that? Yeah, that's my lemonade stand. One summer, I got a new soccer ball from running that stand. Which reminds me, there's lemonade in the fridge if you're thirsty. I just stocked up. I am really looking forward to coming home and having ice-cold lemonade. Be a good little monkey. Those shorts were a gift from my grandma. George wasn't thinking about funny shorts now. He needed a new soccer ball. And if a lemonade stand worked for the boy with the yellow hat, it could work for George. Hey, George. Whew, it's a real scorcher, huh? Oh, you want a lemon crate? Sure, go right ahead. George now had his very own lemonade stand. This was pretty easy.
Whew. Wow, is it ever hot? Hey, Hey, is that lemonade? Thanks, but I can't drink all that. Don't you have any cups? That's still a lot. How about... There, that's a good amount.
George never knew you could make 1 cup of lemonade into 2.
Delicious! Let me give you a little something.
What a great business. George wondered why everyone didn't have a lemonade stand.
Here you go. Thanks.
He wasn't sure how this was going to work, but George wouldn't give up while he still had lemonade left. George didn't speak dog or cat, but he knew begging when he saw it. He couldn't give them too much, because this lemonade was going to get him a soccer ball. But Charky and Gnocchi didn't know George's plan. They were just thirsty.
Ooh, I'd like some lemonade. Or maybe not.
Can I give you some advice? People prefer unlicked lemonade.
George decided to set up where no one knew of the licking incident.
George, I sell the same lemonade. How would you like it if I came to your house and did monkey stuff before you could get to it?
Unfortunately, some people didn't want competition. Some people were just too busy.
Hey, we have a present for you. A brand new soccer ball. Wow, you guys are fantastic. Let's go play soccer. Let's go. That's great. Thanks for the ball.
And some people had soccer balls. George was ready to quit. But he decided to try one last location.
There you are, Charky. I've been looking for you all morning. Hi, George. Oh, is this your lemonade stand? Are you making much money? Huh? Oh, you have to charge money, George.
Now George realized what the man with the yellow hat meant. He earned money and bought a ball. But if George was having trouble giving it away, how could he get people to pay for it?
Hey, did you hear? An iced tea truck sprung a leak at the zoo, and the elephants drank it all.
I heard it was on its way to the construction site. Now those poor workers have nothing to drink.
You know, they must be the hottest, thirstiest people in town.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Boy, it's hot.
Get your lemonade fresh from the monkey.
Lemonade?
Ugh, lemonade? Well, thank heaven for monkeys.
Thanks, monkey.
Wow, business is great here. Okay, next floor. Get your lemonade.
This is really good. Thanks, George.
Oh, this is some lemonade.
Uh-oh. We need to sell all the rest of the lemonade to buy a soccer ball, and there's no one left in line.
Excuse me, is that lemonade for sale? Hey, there's some more lemonade. Come on, guys.
Four more thirsty customers.
George only had 2 more glasses of lemonade.
4 more, please, George.
The monkey's out of lemonade. Where else can we go?
George remembered how to turn 2 cups of lemonade into 4.
Good job, George. Half the size for half the price.
Thanks, George. Thank goodness. Oh, it's everything I hoped it would be.
The monkey really makes a difference.
Wow, we made a lot of money today, George. We sold every last drop of your lemonade.
But it wasn't George's lemonade.
I am really looking forward to coming home and having ice-cold lemonade.
He had to replace it before the thirsty man with the yellow hat came home.
George, where did all the lemonade go? Did you take our lemonade out for a walk? Oh, yeah, I noticed our soccer ball was flat, so I got a new one.
It worked. George ran a lemonade stand and got a soccer ball. And the man with the yellow hat learned how to make lemonade come out of George's nose. Most mornings, George went out on the porch to find the paper. This morning, the paper found George.
Sorry.
George wished he could be a paper boy someday. But he didn't even know how to ride a bike. Not yet, anyway.
This? Why, this was my bike when I was a boy. I sure had fun. But it was a long time ago. You want to try it? Yeah, it's gonna need a little work first. Now to blow up the tires.
This was something George could do. He'd blown up lots of balloons.
No luck? Let's try this air pump. Be my guest.
George liked knowing the man with the yellow hat was holding him up. By the third day, he rode so fast the man with the yellow hat couldn't keep up.
Very good, George. I think you're ready to ride on the road. Now remember, always watch where you're going, stay on the right side of the road, and signal turns, like this for left and this for right. That's it. Oh, and be a good little monkey cyclist. Bye-bye.
Like most cyclists, George loved the wind blowing in his fur. For the first time ever, he was even faster than bunnies.
Wow! Great trick! Sorry I came out so fast, but I'm gonna be late for school. Hey, could you finish my paper route?
Trusted with a paper route. It was like George's wish had just been granted.
Every house on the road gets a paper, including the houses across the stream.
Yes, George had become just like a real paperboy. Nothing would stop him from completing his route. The last time they came to the stream, the man with the yellow hat made paper boats. George thought he remembered how. His boat was so good, George decided to make a whole fleet.
Well, hello. You must be a paper boy. That's an important job. Looks like you've delivered them all but one. Another day's hard work almost done, eh?
George couldn't wait for his newspapers to be sun-dried. George had promised Bill he'd deliver all these papers. If it didn't get done, Bill could lose his job. Maybe the man with the yellow hat knew where to get dry papers. But George forgot to watch where he was going. Fortunately, he was wearing a helmet. Unfortunately, the bike was not. The walk home was a long one for George.
Hi, George. Are you looking for someone to repair that wheel? Not me. No, not Leslie. Come on. You think you could get George's wheel rolling again?
I know I can. I think we can fix this.
It seemed to be going well, but George felt he should help. A wrench. George knew how to use that.
That looks good. Now let's fix these spokes. Terrific. Next, we check balance. That looks good. Now the tube. All right. Aha! Just needs a patch. Where is that wrench? Oh, thank you, George. All we we need now is some air in the tires.
George hadn't helped as much as he wanted to.
Perhaps one or two minor adjustments.
He did, however, know how to use a pump.
Oh, you're welcome.
George rushed home to tell the man with the yellow hat about his paper problem.
George, I have a surprise for you. Oh, George, Bill came by. Apparently, some people didn't get their newspapers today. Yep, one lady saw a duck riding in a newspaper boat, but it wouldn't get out and let her read the headlines.
Suddenly, George remembered he hadn't told the man with the yellow hat about his paper problem.
Hey, hold on, George. How about we just buy a few dry papers and deliver them right now?
And so, George was able to finish his route just like a real paperboy.
Maybe I should buy a new bike for myself, too. Sorry.
Summertime, and the city was trapped in a heat wave. A real scorcher. But there was one city dweller who was not hot. George was in the country, where things were much, much cooler.
Oh, whoa! You call that a cannonball? I'll show you a cannonball!
George loved the country. It had lots of great stuff the city didn't have. You could hear frogs croaking. You could feel the breeze from a hummingbird's wings when it spun around the flowers. At night, you could see a sky full of stars.
What you doing, George? Stargazing? No one knows exactly how many stars there are. Not even scientists.
That's when George thought, maybe it's time somebody found out. And since scientists would probably be very grateful, George decided he was just the monkey to count all the stars. The most important rule in star counting was keeping track. George marked each star down on his pad. The two most important rules in star counting were knowing the difference between stars and lightning bugs and keeping track. Third rule, the other two rules don't matter if you don't stay awake. Because when you come back the next night, you can't tell which stars were counted or uncounted. So last night's count can't count. And you have to start all over. The only solution, counting them all fast before you fall asleep. Like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But George wasn't fast enough.
Morning, fellas!
Oh, hi, Bill. George was up late counting stars.
Too bad you can't count them now, huh? They're always there, you know. We just can't see them on account of the sun being so bright.
George wasn't so sure about that. He wondered what really happened to stars during the day. Maybe they slept. Or maybe they got blown out like candles. And then again, maybe there was a guy named Lenny who just pulled a switch. Wherever they went, you can't count something that isn't there. George wasn't gonna quit. There had to be a way to count stars and go to sleep too. He just had to figure it out. The big upside-down cap. It could be a placekeeper. He could count the stars below it until he had them all, then move to the other sides. He had a system.
Oh, is that it for the night, George?
Soon, George had made real progress in star counting. And since he had a system, when they got to the city, he'd keep counting right where he left off.
Well, Big Hot City, here we come.
The city wasn't just hot. It was the hottest day in 5 years.
Phew.
Oh, I can't wait to get into the cool, air-conditioned lobby. Whoa, hey, it's roasting in here. Is the air conditioning broken?
Nope, I'm not allowed to use it. And I have to ask you to keep yours turned off in your apartment, too.
Well, too many air conditioners running at once uses so much electricity, George. It can cause the power in the whole city to shut down. And that's called a blackout.
Who cared about heat when there were stars to count? Only there weren't any. Maybe stars were only in the country, like mooses.
It's kind of tough counting stars in the city. They're up there, but we just can't see them. Really? It's like trying to count stars during the day. There's too much light. We can't turn it on, George. Don't want to knock out all the power.
At least his star counting pad was good for something. George was too hot to sleep. The one time he could have stayed awake, and there weren't any stars to count. People had their windows closed, and their air conditioners were on. George could hear them hum. With all those people using air conditioners, it couldn't hurt if George turned theirs on. He'd only turn it on just long enough to cool a little monkey. There was only one thing for a monkey to do at a time like this. Hide.
George? George? The power's out. George? Where are you? George? You up here? Uh-huh. Hi, Compass.
George tried to tell the man with the yellow hat how sorry he was for wrecking the city's electricity.
Oh, you think the blackout is your fault? Oh, George. It takes more than one little monkey to cause a blackout. I hope.
Oh, hello. Just came up to check on the pigeons. This blackout's really something, isn't it?
Uh-huh. George thinks it's his fault. He turned on our air conditioner.
I thought it was my fault, too. Honey was so hot, I turned on our AC. Then the lights went out. But the radio said it was really caused by ants.
Ants?
Carpenter ants chewed through some poles in Ohio, and the lines went down.
Well, George, there's one good thing about a blackout. You can use this.
George hadn't even thought to look up. This seemed like even more stars than they had in the country.
That's not the only good thing. These'll melt with the freezer turned off, so I guess we just have to eat them.
You found the Big Dipper.
George settled in for a good, long, relaxing star count. It was a special day for George. A visit to the museum. But first, a stop at Pischetti's for a sweet Sunday treat.
George, they're not going anywhere.
Cannoli, a brown, crunchy shell with a delicious filling.
See? 2, just for us. Hey, Gnocchi. You have your own house now?
Someone's looking for cannoli. The last 2 got taken.
I'm sorry. I don't make any new cannoli today. I'm too upset.
What's going on?
Mio caro Gnocchi. She has been sneaking into the main room and scratching up at the seats. It's a disaster. You see? Look what she has done. Can you believe a little gatto, a sweet little kitty, could do such damage? I must ban Gnocchi from the restaurant.
Oh, well, we saw the house you built her. It's very nice.
Grazie. I plan to add a second story, eh? Oh, that is Gnocchi. She wants to come in. Oh, I feel terrible.
She only wants to come in because you say she cannot. Oh, typical cat. This kitchen is in torment. I suspect there will be no cannoli until this problem is solved. Eh? Back outside.
Oh, don't worry, George. I'm sure they'll solve the problem.
At the museum, George was too distracted to concentrate.
Ah, Professor Wiseman.
Hey guys, welcome to my new exhibit. It's called How Great Scientists Got Their Great Ideas. These are portraits of some great scientists. Isaac Newton, Benjamin Franklin, Marie Curie,
And Albert Einstein.
Once you think like a scientist, George, you can solve almost any problem.
George had a problem. He wanted cannoli.
You know, scientists think about problems and get ideas to solve them. They observe, then collect information. And if that information doesn't help solve their problem, they observe more and get a different idea. Oh dear, excuse me. Young man, get down from there.
George wondered what great scientists would do if they were monkeys who had no cannoli because Gnocchi had scratched the booths.
I say, do we know for certain that she did it like the chef believes?
You must think about what you observed.
George did see Gnocchi scratch the door, but could she have scratched the booth too?
What you observed does not support the chef's idea about Gnocchi making the scratches.
If George could prove Gnocchi was innocent, Chef Pischetti would be happy, and George would have cannoli.
Oh, I love cannoli.
George had to observe more. Gnocchi was thrilled to be back in the restaurant. Now she could go back to her old routine. George needed something to draw on.
waiter, could we get some garlic bread?
Huh?
George needed to measure both sets of marks.
I guess he doesn't want us filling up before the meal.
To measure the marks on the door, George needed something longer.
I think he's a restaurant critic. He's taking samples of the pasta.
The scratches had depth, too. How could George measure that?
Where's that side of ravioli?
But I just cooked it.
Waiter, could we get some water?
Now he's reviewing the ravioli.
He seems to like it better than the spaghetti. That he just dragged along the floor.
The scratches on the booth were shorter than those on the door, and they were a lot deeper, too. George proved the scratches were different. Gnocchi was innocent. But then, who was making the scratches? George couldn't leave this problem unsolved. He had to find out what was making those scratches. There was no evidence of a bear or dinosaur break-in.
Where is our garlic bread?
We ordered it quite some time ago. I think your waiter is quite lazy.
Oh, I am so sorry. Mi scusi. I will get it now. Oh, he's not the waiter. He's reviewing the restaurant for the newspaper.
Don't be silly.
Well, it's true. He really likes the ravioli.
This scratch hadn't been there earlier. It was brand new.
This is the most thorough reviewer I have ever seen.
Well, that's not a restaurant critic or a waiter. It's a monkey.
A great scientist wouldn't let a problem get the best of him. George had to calm down and use his head.
Giorgio, what are you doing in here? They know him. He's not a monkey.
That guy was so wrong.
George showed them what he had discovered.
Oh, Giorgio, oh, I love this kid. You are proving Gnocchi is innocent. I'm so happy. I'm gonna make 2 trays of cannoli. Exactly. Cannoli for everyone on the house.
Making enough cannoli for everyone was exhausting, because though George thought like a scientist, he ate like a monkey. It was a great day for George. For the first time ever, he was going camping. It was also a great day for Hunley, because, well, George was going camping. And that meant George wouldn't be around to mess up his lobby.
Okay, you keep track of everything we pass so we don't get lost. And I'll watch the compass so we know which direction we're walking. first rule of camping is always pick a good campsite. All right, these stakes will anchor our tent. Can you put them in the ground? I put a mallet in your pack. A good camper must be ready for anything. We'll build a fire a safe distance from the tent. You gather some dead wood off the ground, okay? Good job, George. Okay, stand back.
George's wood made a perfect fire. Perfect for staying warm, and perfect for cooking marshmallows. The next morning, George emerged from the tent ready for anything. Well, anything but.
Time to go home, George. I don't know when we'll camp again, but soon. I promise. Soon.
An expert camper is always ready.
No, George.
So for the next week, George wore his backpack. All the time. Everywhere.
No, George. Soon.
But soon never came.
Poor George. I don't know when I'll be able to take him camping again.
Gee, I haven't gone camping in years. Hey, maybe that's what Hundley and I should do on our next day off. Camp! And George can come too.
Oh, that would be great. George, would you like to go camping with Hundley?
As an expert camper, George was happy to show Hundley some of his tools. But knowing that George had a hammer only made Hundley nervous.
Forget your compass, George. The auto navigator will guide us. This should be as good a spot as any since we've got the trailer.
George couldn't find a tent anywhere.
Pretty cushy, huh? Oh, you won't need that pack. We got everything right here.
Hundley wondered if anyone ever vacuumed this place. And were those ants on his paw?
Plus TV and microwave, all powered by a rooftop solar panel.
Carpet. This was more like it.
Important to keep the campsite clean. Why don't you two enjoy the outdoors while I make supper?
As an expert camper, George knew that he had to gather firewood. As a lobby dog, Hundley knew that he had to keep everything orderly and dignified. How odd. George was sure he'd gathered more than that.
We don't need firewood, George. I have a microwave oven.
Hundley thought either someone just took his picture, or that was lightning, which meant rain. Of course, Hunley had seen rain before, but city sidewalks never turned soft and gooey. To Hunley, all this nature was just not natural.
Whoops! Don't worry, we're protected in here. What? Without power, I can't close the hatch. Well, I doubt that much water will get in anyway.
They didn't know how long it had rained, because the clock in the trailer had stopped working. Until now, Hunley thought only George could make a mess this big.
I left the top down. The rain ruined the auto navigator. It's too dark to find our way home without it. But we can't stay in that soggy trailer either.
It did seem hopeless. George wondered what an expert camper would do.
Not a bad lean-to, George. But all of our sleeping bags are soaked.
As an expert camper, George did know one thing hot enough to dry them.
If you're thinking about building a fire with that, we can't. We need dry wood for that.
Using the lighter in George's pack, the doorman was able to start a warm fire. But without electricity, he was unable to open a can. Then George remembered something else that campers do. They cook food on sticks. In the end, they all had a very satisfying meal. And got a good night's sleep. Even Hunley.
Oh, boy. I can't remember which way to go.
They found their way using a monkey navigation system.
Left it is. George, you saved our trip. If you ever want to go camping again, just say the word.
So for the next week, George wore his backpack. All the time. Everywhere. And they all went camping together again. But this time, Hunley chose the campsite. A warm country day. George's favorite time to go boating. Toy boating, that is. Even a toy boat captain can hit rough seas in his favorite perfect pond. Sea captains don't cry, they make repairs. Or ask a friend to.
I can have it fixed for you first thing tomorrow morning, Captain.
So, at exactly 10 seconds before the first thing the next morning...
Right on time. There you go. Ready to set sail again.
George rushed back to his perfect pond to set sail. Now he had a boat, but no pond. And the creek was only a trickle. Where could a whole pond go? He didn't find his pond, but he found a strange wall in the creek. Here's what happened to the water. It got stuck behind this wall.
Hey, George! Looking for the beaver family? The beavers built their dam to make this great pond. Bet you never see beavers working in the city, huh? Yep, that's them now, working in the woods. I took pictures of them. Don't get too close while they work or they'll get upset. Bye!
So these were the beavers. George tried to tell them their branches were floating away. He must have gotten too close. If the beavers didn't want him watching, he'd just sail his boat. If they wouldn't share their pond, he'd make his own. All he had to do was build a dam like they did. There must be an easier way to get wood for a monkey dam. Mrs. Rinkin's scrap wood.
Been having lots of fun with your boat? Oh, you want the scrap wood, do you? Take it. I'll even hitch the cart to Leslie to help haul it.
Now he had wood. What else would be good for stopping water? Upstream, George found the perfect spot for a monkey dam toy boat sail pond. Getting wood to sit still and be a dam was harder than it looked. Water was still getting through. He had to stop the leaks. Then George realized a raincoat can block the water. At last, George had built a dam. And now he had a pond, too. He was ready to set sail. But he'd left his boat home. George was in such a hurry to get his toy boat that he didn't notice the beavers had less water now. The beavers knew whatever stopped their water had to be upstream. George's dam was ruined. The beavers. They did this. Building a dam twice in one day was hard work. At last, nothing could stop George from boating now. George didn't mind rain. It meant his pond would be bigger tomorrow when he brought Bill to see it.
Okay, George, I'm coming. George, a dam calls for two important elements. Proper construction and water.
Those beavers. Of course. They must be behind this.
This isn't good. The water's important to the beaver's home. There must be something wrong up the creek past your dam.
George saw the problem. That fallen tree was acting just like a dam.
We're going to need someone strong to move this. You're coming back, aren't you? Leslie, there's a proper way to... I'm explaining to a cow. Move! Yes! What's wrong? They should be happy. That water built up so much force it's wrecking what's left of your dam. Oh no, the beaver dam!
George and Bill watched the beavers work together to defend their home against the raging waters.
Look! Pieces of your dam!
George wondered if he needed a pond for his toy boat as much as the beavers needed their home. George didn't even miss his old perfect pond. But he was probably going to need Mrs. Rinkins to build more boats.
Benji and Willie were George's favorite mice in the entire world. And Bruno was the only gopher snake he knew personally. So when Mr. Zubel asked him to pet sit for a day, George was thrilled.
Thanks for helping me on such short notice, George. I have to be at the zoo morning till night, studying feet for my new mural, Rhino, What You Did Last Summer. Now, Bruno has already eaten an egg, so he won't be hungry anymore today. Don't feed him. The mice must be fed, but I'm out of food. So I told the pet shop you'd be coming by to pick up mouse food.
George was determined to be the best pet sitter ever. So he sat.
See you tonight. Thanks again.
George, I have to go talk to the park director about Heritage Week. Will you be okay by yourself? Be a good little monkey pet sitter.
A good sitter makes his sittee feel at home. Since these guys lived together, they were probably used to being closer together. They didn't seem happy about that. Of course they weren't happy. They were hungry. Time to get food.
Here you go. 1 bag of mouse treats for Benji and Willie Zubel. Excuse me. Would I have to feed a snake long, skinny food? No. Snakes eat fish, insects, spiders, mice. Yeah, mice, earthworms, slugs, eggs, and they only eat once a week, sometimes once a month.
No wonder Benji and Willie didn't want to be near Bruno.
You forgot your mouse food!
Hola, Zubel here. I didn't tell George that Bruno is about to shed his skin. He only sheds 3 times a year. So watch for it. It's worth seeing. Sorry. I'm out of peanuts.
George reassured the mice that they were safe the whole time. When he went to make sure Bruno liked his new spot by the window, he noticed Bruno had changed. What happened to him? The pet shop owner knew all about snakes. George could bring Bruno and ask him. Like any snake, when Bruno saw that warm sun, he wanted to be in it. The sun was warm, but city life was too noisy for a snake. He wanted to find somewhere quiet.
Came back for this? Ah, I see Bruno shed his skin. Mr. Zubo was waiting for it. Huh? As a snake grows up, it wriggles out of its old skin. Did you think this was Bruno? I'll bet Bruno is under his rock. That's where he always goes after he sheds.
George was relieved to hear Bruno would be safe in his animal habitat. Until he remembered he left the habitat open. Bruno must have crawled out. The mice thought the big smiling monkey had come to set them free. The sun was gone. Now it was too noisy and too cold. After life in a habitat, Benji and Willie wanted to explore. And they discovered a new world. Fresh air, freedom. No wood shavings. George wanted to find Benji and Willie before Bruno felt hungry again. Bruno got out of the apartment. Being near a snake makes any mouse nervous. But Bruno wasn't interested in mice. His stomach was full, and he just wanted to find a comfortable place to relax. The coat was warm, quiet, and dark. A perfect rest stop for a snake.
Excuse me, George. I need to wear this.
Hundley didn't know what that was. But if George was around, it was probably going to be sloppy.
Oh. George, I have to go to work now.
Soft soil is always inviting to a gopher snake.
Why, thank you, George. How nice. I can take it from here.
The pot was too small. Bruno wanted to get back to his old habitat home. Benji and Willie wished they'd never left their habitat. Bruno thought the mice might know the way home, so he hurried to follow them. The mice had never seen a furry, plump snake with feet before. And this was the first time Hundley had ever seen mice in his building. Benji and Willie weren't lost. George knew Hundley would keep an eye on the mice. This monkey had a snake to catch. Hundley didn't realize he'd run outside until it was too late to get back in. Maybe those mice would lead him to an open window.
Hi, George. I hope Bruno, Benji, and Willie didn't give you any trouble.
Everyone was happy. Back exactly where they belonged.
Why is Hundley in our sink?
Well, almost everyone. Hundley planned to stay put until he recovered from his adventure.
Go! Good morning, George.
I'm gonna sleep 5 more minutes, okay?
No!
Yes, hurry! This here roller coaster whips and snaps you around hairpin turns at 70 miles per hour. So come on down to Zany Island and ride the Turbo Python 3000. That's Captain's orders.
Well, that looks very exciting, George. Anyway, we have a lot of errands to run today. I gotta... Like I was saying, I'll get dressed so we can spend a fun day at Zany Island riding the Turbo Python 3000. Now, don't eat all that licorice at once, okay, George? Hi, Steve. Betsy?
Hi, George! Hey, have you guys been on the Turbo Python 3000? We've been on 9 times already. That's the record.
Is it, fun?
He screamed his head off 9 times. We're gonna ride it all day. Wanna come?
Everyone was excited about riding the Turbo Python 3000. Except the man with the yellow hat. He was afraid of roller coasters and remembered the first and last time he rode a roller coaster. It was so long ago, he was just the boy with the yellow hat. And since that day, roller coasters upset him.
Okay, I'm a grown man. I have no reason to fear a roller coaster. Enjoy the ride, George. Whew. I am thirsty.
Excuse me. I'm sorry, but you can't ride the Turbo Python 3000. You have to be as tall as this sign to ride. And, you're not.
Sorry, pal.
That goes for you too, son.
Do you mind if we ride without you? Yeah.
Sorry, I measure to the top of a head, not the top of a hat. You're gonna have to really grow before you can ride there, little fella.
George wondered exactly how much he had to grow. But when he measured with his hand, he was the same height as the sign. He must have grown already.
You're not measuring right. I wish I had a ruler or something. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, the sign is 5 licorice whips tall, and you are 1, 2, 3, 4 licorice whips tall. You can come back when you're grown one more licorice whip tall. And until then, enjoy the rest of the park.
The man with the yellow hat decided that before today was over, he was going to ride that Turbo Python 3000. Somehow.
Well, this is a start anyway. Uh-oh. I can't do it. Oh, boy. Whew, I am thirsty.
The petting zoo was fun, but George had one thing on his mind.
I bet you if we eat what giraffes eat, we'd be tall too.
George imagined how great it would be to be tall enough to ride the Turbo Python 3000.
Taste that bad? I wonder if growing up always tastes bad.
George wondered how the man got so big. Exercise. Of course.
So you want to grow big and strong like me, huh? Great! I'll show you the proper workout, and you can be as big as me in 5 years.
George couldn't wait 5 years. Not today. One, 2, 3, 4 and a half. George had grown half a licorice whip. Eating like a giraffe and exercising really helped. Maybe he could stretch himself the last half a licorice whip.
That's it, honey. Go to sleep. Nothing makes you grow like a good sleep. And I want you to grow up to be big and healthy.
All this growing made George tired. If sleep made you grow, he could do 2 things at once. Sleep made George grow a lot, at least in his dream.
I'm sorry. You can't ride the Turbo Python 3000. You're too big.
George didn't grow as big as he had in his dream, but he grew enough to be 5 licorice whips tall. Seeing Betsy lose her hat reminded the man with the yellow hat of that fateful day.
That's it. I'm not afraid of roller coasters. I'm afraid of losing my yellow hat. Your hat is safe, Betsy!
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You grew already?
Any chance you've been nibbling on those licorice whips, George? When you were first measured, the licorice whips were longer, so it took 4 of them to measure you. But every time you took a bite, you made it smaller. So now it takes 5 to measure you.
So you didn't grow at all. Sorry. What's with all these sour faces? I don't like sour faces at me park, you know. Oh, hi there, Captain Zany. You see, this monkey's too short to ride the Turbo Python 3000.
Too short? Bah! He's not too short. Monkeys don't grow very big. That's why we have the... You must be this tall if you're a monkey side.
You can ride, George, and I'm coming with you. But first, give me all your licorice.
When a monkey wakes up to see it snowed last night, he doesn't waste any time.
Let me help you with those.
We come to set them free. The sun was gone. Now it was too noisy and too cold. After life in a habitat, Benji and Willie wanted to explore. And they discovered a new world. Fresh air, freedom. No wood shavings. George wanted to find Benji and Willie before Bruno felt hungry again. Bruno got out of the apartment. Being near a snake makes any mouse nervous. But Bruno wasn't interested in mice. His stomach was full, and he just wanted to find a comfortable place to relax. The coat was warm, quiet, and dark. A perfect rest stop for a snake.
Excuse me, George. I need to wear this.
Hundley didn't know what that was. But if George was around, it was probably going to be sloppy.
Oh. George, I have to go to work now.
Soft soil is always inviting to a gopher snake.
Why, thank you, George. How nice. I can take it from here.
The pot was too small. Bruno wanted to get back to his old habitat home. Benji and Willie wished they'd never left their habitat. Bruno thought the mice might know the way home, so he hurried to follow them. The mice had never seen a furry, plump snake with feet before. And this was the first time Hundley had ever seen mice in his building. Benji and Willie weren't lost. George knew Hundley would keep an eye on the mice. This monkey had a snake to catch. Hundley didn't realize he'd run outside until it was too late to get back in. Maybe those mice would lead him to an open window.
Hi, George. I hope Bruno, Benji, and Willie didn't give you any trouble.
Everyone was happy. Back exactly where they belonged.
Why is Hundley in our sink?
Well, almost everyone. Hundley planned to stay put until he recovered from his adventure.
Go! Go! Good morning, George.
I'm gonna sleep 5 more minutes, okay?
No!
Yes, sorry. This here roller coaster whips and snaps you around hairpin turns at 70 miles per hour. So come on down to Zany Island and ride the Turbo Python 3000. That's Captain's orders.
Well, that looks very exciting, George. Anyway, we have a lot of errands to run today. I gotta... Like I was saying, I'll get dressed so we can spend a fun day at Zany Island riding the Turbo Python 3000. Now, don't eat all that licorice at once, okay, George? Hi, Steve. Betsy.
Hi, George! Hey, have you guys been on the Turbo Python 3000? We've been on 9 times already. That's the record.
Is it, fun?
He screamed his head off 9 times. We're gonna ride it all day. Wanna come?
Everyone was excited about riding the Turbo Python 3000. Except the man with the yellow hat. He was afraid of roller coasters and remembered the first and last time he rode a roller coaster. It was so long ago, he was just the boy with the yellow hat. And since that day, roller coasters upset him.
Okay, I'm a grown man. I have no reason to fear a roller coaster. Enjoy the ride, George. Whew. I am thirsty.
Excuse me. I'm sorry, but you can't ride the Turbo Python 3000. You have to be as tall as this sign to ride. And, you're not.
Sorry, pal.
That goes for you too, son.
Do you mind if we ride without you? Yeah.
Sorry, I measure to the top of a head, not the top of a hat. You're gonna have to really grow before you can ride there, little fella.
George wondered exactly how much he had to grow. But when he measured with his hand, he was the same height as the sign. He must have grown already.
You're not measuring right. I wish I had a ruler or something. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, the sign is 5 licorice whips tall, and you are 1, 2, 3, 4 licorice whips tall. You can come back when you're grown 1 more licorice whip tall. Until then, enjoy the rest of the park.
Oh,
the man with the yellow hat decided that before today was over, he was going to ride that Turbo Python 3000. Somehow.
Well, this is a start anyway. Uh-oh. I can't do it. Oh, boy. Whew, I am thirsty.
The petting zoo was fun, but George had one thing on his mind.
I bet you if we eat what giraffes eat, we'd be tall too.
George imagined how great it would be to be tall enough to ride the Turbo Python 3000.
Taste that bad? I wonder if growing up always tastes bad.
George wondered how the man got so big.